Hello and welcome to this English edition of Diary of a Common Man. My name is Salim Lalani. This week we are going to talk about the legal cases pending against Aga Khan. But before we talk about legal cases of the future and the past, let's talk about the memoirs of Aga Khan that we started talking about a couple of weeks ago. The first one is I'll read it out to you. When I read about the millions of pounds a year that I'm supposed to possess, this is Aga Khan 3 talking about his wealth. I know only that if I had an income of that size, I would be ashamed of myself. This is a great deal of truth in, and there is a great deal of truth in Andrew Carnegie's remark. The man who dies rich dies disgraced. And then he adds, I should add, the man who lives rich lives disgraced. By lives rich, I mean the man who lives and spends for his own pleasure at a rate and on a scale of living in excess of that customary amongst those so called nowadays the upper income group in the country of which he is a citizen. I am not a communist, nor do I believe that a high standard of private life is a sin and an affront to the society. I feel no flicker of shame at owning three or four cars in India, where a great many people from outside come and go. I always have more cars for their use. Now, in this, I don't know how do you read this, but this is the way I read it. In this paragraph, the great man contradicts himself. First, he says that a man who lives rich live, lives disgraced. And then he says that there's no harm in having much more than what other people have. That is fine. You can have much more than other people have. But when you have a luxurious life, like you did, like Aga Khan did, then that is a problem. That is a disgrace. Living a decent life is not a sin, Mr. Aga Khan. It was never a sin living a decent life. Meeting your necessities, your sometimes your wants is also okay. But when you live a filthy rich life, let me give you an example of a filthy rich life. In the Golden Jubilee, or was it Diamond Jubilee? I'm not too sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. In the Platinum Jubilee, or the Diamond Jubilee, sorry, uh, the Begum, this is the last Begum that he had, Mata Salamat. She wore a sari worth 18 lakh rupees studded with diamonds, real diamonds. The show itself, the Diamond Jubilee show, it cost hundreds of millions of rupees in those days. And imagine this. It was during those days that his muris were living in ugly poverty. People had walked hundreds of miles to attend the Diamond Jubilee. They could not afford a train ticket, a bus ticket. Even today, people are living in slums. That is disgraceful. In particular, in particular, the fact that you know that your muris are living in poverty. Your muris are living in, they don't know where the next meal is coming from, particularly in those days, in Sultan Muhammad Shah's days. When you claim to be their savior, when you claim to be their spiritual father, which father will live in a palace and let his murids, let his children live in poverty in slums? Tell me this. Anyone, any Ismaili can come and tell me this. Answer my question. Which father? I challenge you, not one father will see his children living in difficulty. And this man says, I am a spiritual leader. And isn't this a shame that people believe this? And they call themselves educated. Last week, somebody said they are donkeys. I'm not going to say that they are donkeys, but I'm going to let you decide. What kind of behavior is this? When you are so obstinate, when you are not exercising or utilizing the divine gift of intelligence, when you cannot see the cup on the coffee table, what good is your degree from a university? It is a piece of paper worth nothing, nothing to be proud of, when you cannot even see what a little child can see. And hence, it is disgraceful. Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah was a disgrace. Aga Khan 4 is a disgrace. These are not my words. These are Imam's words himself. That a person who lives rich lives disgracefully. So that is number one. Let's go to number two. Neither my grandfather, my father, nor I have ever looked on racing as simply a money-making matter, but as a sport which which by careful attention and thoughtful administration could become self-supporting and a permanent source of pleasure, not only for ourselves as owners, but for thousands, indeed millions, who follow our colors on the turf. And we have considered our studs and our training stables as sources of wealth for the countries in which they are maintained and of practical usefulness from the point of view of preserving and raising the standard of bloodstock. In this paragraph, the great man says it is not only a money making matter. So he admits it is a money making profession, which it is. By the way, let us note that he is not talking about gambling in this paragraph. In later part of Memoirs of Aga Khan, he does. He admits that he used to gamble, not only in on the turf, as he puts it, but in the casinos as well. And there are Ismailis who have seen him in casinos, and they have written about it extensively. So gambling in defiance of Islam is okay for a Muslim leader, a spiritual father. Anyway, we'll come back to this paragraph. Money making matter. Okay. And he has no shame in admitting that he runs a profession where people are encouraged to gamble. Not a problem at all. Selling alcohol in Hazrimam owns Aga Khan 4, owns many hotels called Serena hotels around the world. Alcohol is served openly. Non Islamic practices are happening in those casinos and in those hotels. And Aga Khan has not an issue with them. There is a pork farm in Africa, there's casino, there is alcohol, there's gambling, and this man still is able to say, I am a Muslim leader. Mind boggling, disgraceful, or hypocritical. And now with internet, this game, this double game of saying something and doing something else is over. It is over. Okay, let's look at the last one before we go to the legals. Now I'm convinced that through Islam, through the ideal of Allah, as presented by Muslims, man can attain this direct experience which no words can explain, but which for him are absolute certainties. Look who is talking. Who is talking? Of Muslims, of Islam, and high ideals and divine experience. I am lost for words at the shamelessness of this grandfather and this man called Aga Khan IV. Shameless. And so are his murids. Shameless. I want at least one of those shameless people. And obviously, when you are shameless, you don't appear in public, do you? Because you are full of shame. How do you appear in public? You tell me. They can't. If they had any integrity, if they had 1 ounce of integrity, at least one person would have come forward. Not one. Not one. Anyway, let's now turn to legal cases against Aga Khans. Usually, court cases happen, usually, for property, for wealth, and sometimes for personal relationships. In this case, Aga Khan, Aga Khan's cases are no different. Aga Khan 1 and Aga Khan 2 have been taken to court for financial matters. Despite being spiritual leaders, they have been taken to court by none other than their own murids and their own family for money. Yes, money. Spiritual father, money. What has spirit got to do with money? Nothing. Money is our design, is our making, for our delusion. And we have deluded ourselves with our own creation. And the spiritual father is caught in that delusion himself. He is the one who should take us out of that delusion. That look, spirit is eternal, it does not require money. To live, you need money. Of course, you need a source of income. But to live rich, you don't need it. And they wanted to live rich. They still do. Filthy rich, not rich. Filthy rich. And there is now I understand why do people call it filthy rich? What is so filthy about being rich? Now I understand. It is filthy people and their filthy minds that do not see anything else but their greed. They do not see that people are dying of hunger. They cannot see it. And that is why they are filthy, filthy minds. Anyway, let's come to the point. The point is who is talking? Allah, Islam, divine experience. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. So, we'll first talk about Khoja case. As you many of you might know, it was brought against Aga Khan the One, also called Hassan Ali Shah. Hassan Ali Shah was also called Hassan Ali Shah Mahlati because he belonged to a region in Iran called Mahalat. The case began not in 1866. It actually began, the seed of that case was sown back in 1827. This is in Bombay. In those days, Imam used to live in Iran. The religious money was transported by people, by murids. They traveled from India to Iran to deliver the money. And in India, in Bombay, a man called Habib Ibrahim, he revolted. He didn't leave the system like I did, but he revolted. And he basically did not create the issue for money at that point in time. He basically said that actually it was about money indirectly. I'll tell you how. He basically raised an issue. The issue was he said that Imam has no authority over him or his people. There were about 12 of them, including himself, a group of 12. And that is why this case is also called a Bar Bhaya case. Bar means 12, Bhaya means brother, 12 brothers. Now, they said that Imam does not have any authority over them. Why? Because they said they are Sunni Muslims, they are not Ismailis. They are the followers of Pir Sadruddin. That's what they said. Pir Sadruddin, they said, was a Sunni. He was not a Shia. That's what they claimed. But according to the Ismaili ideology or theology, Pir Sadruddin was a Pir working for the Imam of the time in the Ismaili system. And not only that, he was able to convert so many people in Ismaili faith. That's what Ismaili say. But these 12 brothers are saying Pir Sadruddin was a Sunni. Apparently, research has found that the Bar Bhayas were right. Pir Sadruddin was indeed a Muslim, a Sunni Muslim. He converted people into Sunnis. Where did these people get the idea of Pir Sadruddin being a Shia? Nobody knows. But even today, if you would like to verify, go and visit Pir Sadruddin's tomb. you will not find one Ismaili going there to pay respects to the man who started this whole thing in India. Okay, about Ismailism. Only Sunni Muslims go and pay their respects to Pir Sadruddin, even today. Anyway, so they said Imam does not have any right to ask us for money, or he cannot exercise his spiritual powers, whatever they are. Okay. Now, what happened is the Jamaat decided to excommunicate these 12 people, because you cannot disagree, or you cannot deny the authority of the Imam like that and still stay in the Jamaat Khana. So they were excommunicated. Fast forward 1845, Imam Hassan Ali Shah arrives in India. We have done the story of how Imam Hassan Ali Shah got in trouble in Iran and how he had to flee as a refugee, as a fugitive from Iran, and he had to come to India. That happened in 1845. And in 1845, he basically started demanding more money from the Jamaat in Bombay. And those people that refused, declined his authority, he got them to sign a decree of loyalty. Anybody that doesn't sign is to be excommunicated. And that's exactly what he did. Now, this order, loyal decree, became a serious matter. He didn't expect this, that his murids will take him to court over this document. Most of the people signed that document. They did. The loyalty. They did not want to be excommunicated, but the Bar Bhayas had accumulated a lot of support by 1845. And that group got together and prepared for a case. Finally, the case was filed in 1866 in Bombay High Court. In the Bombay High Court, they demanded, like I have demanded Aga Khan do a couple of things, which I will repeat right now. One is the money must go to the poor, not to Aga Khan. Number two, all divinity things like Aga Khan is divine from Jamaat Khana has to go immediately. And number three, the president of the council will apologize to Wazir. These are my conditions. But what were Habib Ibrahim's condition? I'll read them out to you. Number one, he demanded that Aga Khan account for all Khoja communal properties, because Aga Khan had the habit of converting the title to all communal properties in his own name, which is apparently happening right now under the flag, under the umbrella of AKDN. Second demand, leader of Ismailis must be elected via an election process. Imam cannot appoint his he cannot nominate anybody according to the divine designation, as they say. So a leader must be elected. Number three, prohibit Aga Khan from interfering with community's property and personal affairs. Number four, prohibit Aga Khan from excommunicating murids. And the last one, prohibit Aga Khan from demanding money for spiritual process or purposes. These were the five demands of the people who, the plaintiffs. The lead plaintiff obviously was Habib Ibrahim. So they demanded that. Guess what? Did they get their demands fulfilled? Obviously not. The judge was a British Sir, not Sir, Justice Joseph Arnold. Aga Khan was a British stooge. If you had heard my commentary on how Aga Khan became, how he betrayed Islam and slaughtered Muslims in Kandahar alongside the British, he became a British mercenary. Aga Khan won. And Justice Arnold, it was no wonder, ruled in favor of Aga Khan. Based on what? Based on a Ginan called Das Avatar, written by Pir Sadruddin apparently. And in that, Pir Sadruddin says that Ali is Vishnu. The ignorance of that judge is mind boggling. I don't think he had any basis. I don't think he understood Islam. Because if he had, he wouldn't have quoted the Avatar. Because the Avatar is a material that is anti Islam. So it is obvious for anybody to see today how. I don't think Justice Arnold was ignorant. He was just playing favoritism, nothing else. And it can be seen. You read Das Avatar, and you read the notes of Justice Arnold, which is available on internet. If you just type Khoja case of 1866, or you read Tina Purohit's book, you will hear you will know how ignorant that judge was. Not ignorant, but he was playing favoritism. So that is Khoja case of 1866. Then, obviously, we have spoken about Haji Bibi case against Aga Khan III. Next week, I'll talk a little bit more about it. Then, in the present day, uh, although Aga Khan IV has hidden himself in Portugal, but before his time, before he basically hid himself in Portugal, the two Begums were able to take him to court for adultery. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, they will not be able to take him. People will file cases like this case is pending in Africa, in Uganda, DTB Bank, where Aga Khan is accused of theft. Spiritual father accused of theft. Spiritual father convicted of adultery. Spiritual father convicted of adultery twice. Okay. Future cases. I have written here future case or cases by Salim Lalani and others. What do I mean by that? I have a gut feeling I could be completely wrong. But institutions, government agencies, private agencies, private sector will in the future bring cases against Aga Khan for misuse of their trust. Again, my gut feeling, because he has invited donations to AKDN from public sector and private sector. Since 19, ever since he established AKDN, I don't know what year it was, but all that money has been misused, and things are beginning to open up. And it is no wonder he has hidden himself in Portugal under legal immunity. And at that time, I was not, when he hid himself in Portugal, I was not in the picture. So obviously, he knew that the public sector and the private sector is going to go after his blood. Okay, that is my reason for thinking that they will take him to court and clean him out if he is still alive at that time. But let me come to myself. Whether they're going to do it or not, when are they going to do that, if they're going to do that, I don't know. But what I know is the work that I have been doing in the background for last a year and a half now. And I have no problem in letting you know, as I may have already done it in the past, is that I'm working with the legal agencies in United States, in Canada, in United Kingdom, and in India. In all those four countries, we are working on the breach of violation of taxation legislations, foreign exchange legislation, money laundering legislation. But in India, we are working on one more case that we are not working on the first in the first world countries, because India is, this particular legislation is unique to India, and it is called divine displeasure. What happens in India, if you've been lucky enough to go to India, you will see that there are many god men and women who basically loot people in the name of religion. The modus operandi is this: they will come to you, or you will go to them. If they've got a big name, you will go to them, and you will say, "Oh, Mr. So and so, I've got this problem." And he looks at your hand, looks at your face, and he says, "Oh, Salim, you got this problem, that problem, that problem. Oh my God!" And these problems are pretty serious. And this is just a small manifestation of the bigger problem that you have inside you right now, and they scare you to death. So then, once you are captivated by fear, they basically you basically say to them, "Oh my God, what do I do now?" And they say, "Look, there is a way out, but it needs this particular spiritual service and that service and that service." "Oh, I'm happy to do it." "Yeah, but it'll cost you this much." So you say, "Oh, no problem, no problem. I'll pay you as much as you want, but please get me out of this problem." So people were looted like that for thousands of years in India. Finally, the government came up with this legislation, and it is called divine displeasure. The reason why it is called divine displeasure is because they use the pretext that whatever you are suffering is because you haven't done something right in the future, in the past, and because of that the divine is very upset with you. So to basically get the divine back into your good books, into his good books, get you back into his good books, we need to do this service and that service, and it'll cost you this much. So divine displeasure. In the Jamaat Khana, exactly the same happens. Exactly the same. No difference. In fact, Jamaat Khana practice is a perfect example of divine displeasure. If I was to play the Vaizes, if I was to play the Ginans, if I was to play the Farmans of Sultan Muhammad Shah, perfect examples of divine displeasure. So in India, we are working on that as well. When are they going to be filed in those countries? Are they going to be filed eventually? I don't know. But what I do know, which I'm sharing with you, is that we are definitely working on it. It could take us 6 months, it could take us 6 years if I'm still alive by then, but we are working on it. So watch the space. That's all I have from my side this particular week. If there is any questions, please go ahead, Zahid. Inayat Ali, Salim, the Aga Khan is doing nothing wrong in collecting cash money, Jamaat Khana in USA. Okay, this is because Ismailism is a religious. Oh, wow. Okay, so Ismailism is a religion. Wow. Do you, Inayat Ali, do you understand what is a religion? If you had, you wouldn't have said Ismailism is a religion. And you definitely wouldn't have said that collecting money because it is a religion. Collecting money is not religion's part and parcel. So obviously, you have displayed your ignorance of in two lines. People can see how ignorant you are, and I hope that you are not educated. I hope you don't have a degree because you'll be a disgrace to that degree. Yeah. Okay. So, just for the knowledge, in case any other person does not know the difference between a religion and organizations like Ismailism, in religion, what happens is there is a deity who is up there in the sky. Like in Islam, Allah is in the sky. He says in the Quran very clearly that I cannot be born and I haven't given birth to anyone. Okay, that is a religion. In Hindu, the God is up there in the sky. Yeah, another matter that he sometimes likes to come to earth from time to time, but he lives in sky. In Christianity, same thing. God is up in the sky. You will meet him when you die, if you are lucky enough. But in cults, Allah lives on earth. So Ismailism is a cult because in Ismailism, Allah lives on earth. Who is Allah? Aga Khan. Why Aga Khan? Because it is there in plain black and white. Allah Yahi Imam. There's a Ginan. Sultan Muhammad Shah says, I am Allah. Pir Sadruddin says, Ali is Vishnu. So that is why Ismailism cannot be a religion, it is a cult. Yeah, that is a difference. All right. Next, Aga Khan doesn't live a filthy rich life. The could you do me a favor? If we were to in Italy, is it possible for you to join us so we can talk face to face? Is that okay? Because there are we only have limited time, and you don't sound very intelligent at all, or you sound very ignorant. Let me put it that way. So we will not be able to entertain or give you a lot of time. So if you'd like to come on the stream, I'll allow you to have a conversation with me and end it so others can get a chance. Yeah. All right. So Zahid, do not display any uh, comments from Inayat Ali until he wants to come and face me. Yeah. Anybody else? Why talk about old memoirs if there is a legal case pending against Aga? What's the upcoming legal case? Criminal charges, civil suit? Can someone please tell me? I'm so curious. I just spoke about it. I just said that there are taxation matters, there are money laundering matters. I don't know if you were still there in the stream or not at that time, but you can when this stream finishes, you can watch this on YouTube. I have already described that. Okay. All right. Next, Salim Lalani, let me on your live. I will disprove you. Yeah, please, Zahid. Please put on the link for Inayat Ali and tell him where to find it. He's here. Okay, Inayat Ali. Go
Can you
ahead.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Of course. Go ahead.
First of all, what you're saying that the imam can
We've got some disturbance. We've got some disturbance in your audio.
are you able to hear me now? Is it still
Yeah, it's a very
disturbance?
bad line. See if you can get rid of that disturbance and then come back. Okay, whilst Inayat Ali is working on that audio, let's take any other questions that we may have. Inayat Ali, let me know when the audio is done, okay? I'm waiting for you.
Are you able to hear me?
No, the audio is still playing up. Okay. Gulam Mehdi Sumar. Thanks, Salim, for enlightening and depth exposure. Sad that still the wheels are covered over the eyes. Yes, it is very sad. Very sad. Okay, next. Zara Salim Bhai, Shia Islam allows muta. So how can Aga Khan commit adultery? Okay, there is a difference between muta and adultery. What see in adultery, what happens is there's no contract as there is in muta. That is a difference. In adultery, you are married and you basically have a relationship with another person outside that marriage, a sexual relationship. That is adultery. But in muta, there is a contract. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, next. You can't work with a lawyer on criminal matters. Aren't criminal matters prosecuted by the state? See, we are not talking about who are we working with at this point in time, what is going to be the structure, whether something is going to be criminal, something is going to be personal, something is going to be civil. We don't know all that. Okay, we are working on the legal matter, and whenever that happens, I'll let you know. Yeah. Okay, next. Yes. Okay. Now that you insist, there are criminal matters. Yes. So we will be encouraging the authorities to investigate the criminal matter, and the Department of Public Prosecution will bring about the case against Aga Khan when the time comes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Okay. Next. Is that it? Okay, there are many comments. Let's give Inayat Ali one more chance in case he has fixed the audio. Inayat, could you please join us again? Well, if you think I am, if I don't want to talk to you, then why would I invite you again? Anonymous 786 agrees with me. You sound like you're talking from Mars, Inayat. So you, instead of blaming me, you better fix your audio. Next time around, we are still here. Okay, next week come, but see if you can keep your ignorance to yourself, because you are on display. Yeah, you've already displayed yourself. So in the interest of your own community and your own family, come prepared, and we'll talk to you uh, next week. Yeah. Until then, thank you everybody for taking part. There were so many comments. I think there were 78 comments, which we did not take, most of them. But Zahid, are you sure you have put all the comments or all the questions? I can see one comment from Mo. Uh, I saw a question somewhere here. There are, most of them are comments, and a lot of them from Inayat Ali. Uh, anyway, we'll leave it at that. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for your participation in this particular stream. Thank you so much, and I will look forward to catching up with you next week, same place, same time. See you then.